I'm Shashina Rolla. As always, it is so great to have you with us. Topping news, the president of the Grand Bahama Chamber of Commerce says the business community must have a seat at the negotiating table come 2015. The leader of the business community insists that this representation is needed to bolster Grand Bahama as a major business center in the region. President of the Grand Bahama Chamber of Commerce, Barry Malcolm, says as the government gets another opportunity to sit down with the Grand Bahama Port Authority to renegotiate some of the terms of the Hawksbill Creek Agreement as it relates to the exemption of real property tax and license fees, the possibilities are endless. He says if done right, this island can be positioned as an international business center.
That's really the opportunity of the 2015 amendments. It's really, as we see it as a chamber, it's the final chance. It is really a great chance for us collectively, government, Grand Bahama Port Authority, and licensees to put together a plan which will cause Grand Bahama to be an international business center for Bahamians as well as for others who come from elsewhere and want to invest in and or use this place as a place from which to jump off and provide other international business services.
He says business licensees must have an input.
So we're making the assumption that in some form there is some attention being given to it, but we at the Chamber and certainly as licensees in the port area would like to be a part of a process that actually looks at options, looks at the opportunities, looks at the various aspects of what should be happening for Grand Bahama beyond 2015. And it's not just for Grand Bahama, because the economy of Grand Bahama, the economy of Freeport, if it thrives, if it does well, it really impacts the economy for the entire country.
In fact, the Chamber President says they have been working on a synthesis of ideas that represents members of the Chamber and licensees' thoughts of what the new structure should be. That, he says, will be submitted to both the government and the Grand Bahama Port Authority.
Basically saying, here are some of the thoughts we feel, here are some of the things we feel that should be factored into whatever solution is agreed on ultimately for the long term for Grand Bahama.
The community of Pelican Point, the venue for an important town meeting this evening as 3 government ministries come together to address the creation of the North Shore or the Gap National Park. The Ministry of Environment and Housing, the Ministry of Agriculture, Marine Resources and Local Government, and the Ministry of Grand Bahama hosting the event. They will hear from fishing guides, lodge operators, and residents of the East on the issue. Now, tonight's meeting will be held at the St. Matthew's Baptist Church in Pelican Point at 7 p.m. In other news, a signature training program for the Ministry of Youth helping to meet a growing demand for skilled labor on Grand Bahama. Joan Davis-Roll has this story.
They have gotten a fresh start, and now thanks to the government Fresh Start initiative, they're ready to start a new chapter of their lives. Youngsters enrolled in the welding and cosmetology programs at the Bahamas Technical and Vocational Institute were in the spotlight Thursday. The Technical Center was a buzz of activity as the Minister for Grand Bahama, the Honorable Dr. Michael Davo, along with Senator the Honorable Tanisha Tynes, toured 2 critical areas of the program, getting an up-close and personal view of this leading state-run initiative.
Well, this is an exciting day for all of us here on Grand Bahama. As you're aware, we started the Fresh Start program a few months ago, and we had about 150 students, young Grand Bahamians, who are pursuing various types of technical and vocational careers. Well, today is a demonstration of what they have learned, and tomorrow is the final day of the program where they will be placed in a 3-week job placement program, and the majority here will find gainful employment on Grand Bahama. I'm pleased to report that out of the 150, Memories is expressing interest in hiring some of our Fresh Start graduates. But the program was very exciting this year. It had many different components, well structured, and I would like to just thank the staff of BTVI as well as all of the instructors for doing an excellent job with our young people.
Also with hair care, that they learned the history about how Black women in particular became entrepreneurs in hair care. And then knowing that there are students who are learning about QuickBooks, welding. There's one young lady who's in the welding group, which was good to see that a female is not afraid to venture into welding. And I encourage these young people to do their best, and for the wider community who have businesses to employ these young people.
With Grand Bahama being the industrial capital of the Bahamas, Minister Dobble says greater focus is being placed on the technical field. You're about to tour the welding, obviously a major part, a component of our industrial sector, and a demand really on Grand Bahama.
Absolutely. Technical and vocational areas, specifically welding, pipe fitting, those are the jobs that we have been concentrating on throughout Grand Bahama. As you are aware, a major group like the shipyard in Boco have a great demand for welders as well as pipe fitters. This particular program will definitely create job opportunities for the majority who are in the program for further apprenticeship programs. I'm about to tour that part of the program right now, so I'm excited to see where these guys have come from to where they are today. Very exciting for us here on Grand Bahama today.
According to Ministry of Youth, Sports and Culture Representative Carla Brown-Roca, the Fresh Start program is an investment that continues to yield huge dividends. She notes that some participants, thanks to corporate Grand Bahama, have already become gainfully employed.
Mrs. Culmer confirmed Memories support, and it's no surprise because we do have several persons from last year's Fresh Start class at Memories currently as employees and doing extremely well. And so once again, we are very pleased to hear from Memories along with several other corporate sponsors to say that they will indeed give these young persons a chance to intern and to show what it is that they have to offer.
The technical opportunities are said to be endless as the government continues to invest in this vital sector. Reporting for ZNS Network News, I'm Joan Davis-Roll.
Thanks, Joan. Well, tonight, police say they are making some inroads in their investigation into the 3 recent homicides on this island. Sabrina Brown tells us that some disturbing facts were revealed.
8 murders have been committed on Grand Bahama this year, the latest on Sunday night. 33-year-old Charles Miller, also known as Yellow, was shot and killed outside of a business establishment on East Atlantic Drive. Assistant Commissioner of Police Emric Seymour says he expects a break in this case soon.
We have some persons that we're talking to, and like I said, we still continue to send out the appeal for additional information so that we can, the things, suspicion. That's our biggest part for us. All right, but we cannot carry suspicion to court. All right, we want hard evidence so that once we would have arrested a suspect, we can really have the evidence and which to convict him. We have information. There are fact eyewitnesses, and of course, these persons are afraid to come forward. And so we send an appeal to these people. If you see something, if you want to remain anonymous, call us. If we have an anonymous hotline, we give that out to the press over repeatedly. Call us. We can take your information without identifying you. And so we want you to know that, this Bahamas is only as safe as the citizenry want it to be.
ACP Seymour confirmed that Miller was wearing an electronic monitoring device at the time of his death.
He was well known to the police, in and out of the police system for quite some time, for years. And of course, he was wearing an ankle bracelet at the time he was killed, which meant that he had several cases in the court that he was on he was on bail for. Notwithstanding that though, he's still a human being, and of course he would have lost his life in such a heinous way. And so we need to bring that matter to a closure.
The police chief also confirming that a Grand Bahama man who was out on bail was gunned down in New Providence overnight. Now, while police couldn't confirm the identity of the victim, ZNS News has learned that the victim is Ronaldo Bonaby, who was out on bail for the 2006 murder of Philip Gator Jr. in Freeport.
There was a murder in Nassau. The victim was believed to be a Grand Bahamian resident who is known to the police as well. I can tell you that he's known to the police, and the fact that he was wearing an ankle bracelet at the time he was killed, which suggests that which is indicative of the fact that he has been in and out of the system. And of course, he's being monitored for some act he would have been. I think if I'm not mistaken, he was on it was a murder charge he was on as well.
Now, Seymour says police are also trying to bring closure in the murders of local businessman Cedric Hepburn and British visitor Edgar Dart. Despite the recent murders, he says there is no need for alarm, and he gives the assurance that the police force is working diligently to stop the criminal element.
The officers are working around the clock to ensure the citizens of this country sleep, go about their business, unhindered, in the most secure of atmosphere as possible. That's our job. That's what we're mandated to do, by law to do. So the Bahamas, Grand Bahama is still a safe place to live.
Sabrina Brown, ZNS Network News.
Police in the 8 Mile Rock Division meeting with residents in that area to discuss crime-fighting initiatives at a meeting held at the Central Zion Baptist Church this week. Superintendent Wendell DeVoe telling residents that the crime element can be eliminated one community at a time. Now, that meeting targeted the Pinedale and Hannah Hill settlements. DeVoe talked about some concerns in these areas.
One of the major concerns in those two communities for the present is acts of violence, causing harm, assault, and also complaints of house breakings. And we want to see how we can minimize those particular type of complaints. And we want to formulate a plan and see if we could put ourselves together in a group whereby we can all be responsive to each other and whereby we can be on the lookout as to what is happening in our community. We have a lot of young men in 8 Mile Rock who is just idle. They complain that they cannot find employment, various challenges, and it's our responsibility to encourage them and see if we can channel them in the right direction whereby they can continue to be productive citizens.
DeVoe then urged residents to get more involved by taking an active role in keeping their communities safe.
We want to transform the minds of the people who live in 8 Mile Rock, whereby they can think highly of themselves, they can look out for their neighbors, they can be more appreciative of one another, more responsive to one another, and more caring to each other. Because in time past, there were community leaders. There were persons in the community who would be able to stand up and speak on behalf of these various communities. We don't want to see that continue to be depleted. We want you as community leaders to step forward and represent your community.
A Grand Bahama family is appealing for the public's assistance tonight as they continue the search for a missing loved one. Sabrina Brown has their story.
56-year-old Andy Bolag was last seen on May 15th, and his family members, who are now making a second appeal for the public's help, are becoming more concerned.
We search everywhere: bushes, properties, lots, all abandoned places, track roads. We've been looking. This is not like him to not come home.
Andy's sister Edris Liborn says she has no idea as to what could have happened, as her brother was not the type to cause trouble.
He was a very quiet, outgoing person. He don't get in nobody way and he doesn't bother anybody. So it's not like him to get in trouble. He's not a troublesome person.
The father of 5 who frequented an establishment on Logwood Road was unemployed. Edris says Andy previously worked at the Princess Hotel since he came to Grand Bahama in the early 1980s until the property closed in 2004. She says the past 2 weeks have been frustrating for the family, and they're asking the community to remember them in prayer.
We are not taking it well and all. Every other day we out looking, searching, hoping to get a phone call, something. It's not like him.
Now, the family is appealing to anyone with information to contact the police. Sabrina Brown, ZNS Network News.
Stay with us. The Bahamas Tonight, the Northern Edition, continues right after this.
Bringing news that matters to you. You're watching the Bahamas Tonight, Northern Edition.
Welcome back. The Reach Out Youth Organization partnering with the various organizations in the community as they continue to tackle the issue of crime head-on. Plans announced today for the 4th annual Men United March, slated for the June 9th Whit Monday holiday. Founder of Reach Out Ministries, Dudley Aid, and veteran educator Dr. Cecil Thompson say this united effort is significant.
We're going to unite, like I said, with urban renewal, men's ministry, women's ministry, to show the criminals there's enough is enough. And we're here to join hands together to show the criminals that we are united, a united force to say that crime is affecting the whole entire Bahamas.
We want a huge turnout because we're fighting a very, very serious war in our country.
Now, Regional Dean of the Scouts Association on Grand Bahama and Deacon at Calvary Temple Church, Dwayne King, are encouraging the entire community to join in this worthwhile effort.
boys needs to come out and see exactly what men can do at the end of the day, which is positive things. And we are going to be out there in numbers. I plead to all of my scout leaders to have all scouts out that day.
Bad things happen when good people are quiet and passive. And in this country, in particular in this island, a lot of people talk about crime and talk about it, but we are called to action. It's a short march, but it sends a positive and powerful message into the spiritual realm.
Now, the Men United March will begin at the Lucaya Cricket Club at 11 a.m. on June 9th. Travel on to Baleo Road, left to Midshipman Road, right on to West Beach Drive to Tino Beach, where a rally and family fun day will take place. And if you are looking for a fun family event this weekend, then the Hugh Campbell Primary School Fun Day may be an option. President of the Events Committee, Samuel Johnson, says the school will host its first fundraiser this Saturday to aid in a much-needed computer lab. He says with the community's help, the fun day, which will be held this coming Saturday, will assist the school with setting up the lab by the next semester. He, along with teacher Crystal Cooper, say this initiative is a self-help project that sends a message to students.
We feel it's important because it also sends a message to our young leaders for tomorrow that we can do something to help ourselves rather than wait. So this is an effort to teach them as well.
It's not just also for Hugh Campbell students, it's for Hugh Campbell alumni. It's for all of our friends and our sister schools. Bring your kids out if they go to Walter Parker. It doesn't mean that they can't come out and enjoy.
Now, the fun day will take place in the form of a carnival. Organizers say there will be rides and slides for the kids, great food and performances from a number of Bahamian musical artists. Among them, Jack Troy, who will be performing his international hit, Can't Fail.
Out there we're going to have lots and lots of food. All of I can guarantee it's going to be one of the conkiest conch fish you're going to find. We have one of the best master chefs who's going to be on the grill. So the good down-home cooking. So you're going to have popcorn, cotton candy, you name it.
Just want to encourage the community to come on out because the best things are achieved when we work together as a community, you know. So it's all about family, peace and love, Grand Bahama. Look forward to seeing you. Blessed love.
Now, once again, the fun day will take place on the grounds of the Hugh Campbell Primary School this coming Saturday from 12 p.m. to 7 p.m. Stay with us. Ricardo Lightborn has a check on sports when we come back.
Hey everybody, and welcome to Sports and Ricardo Live. When this one goes out to the staff down there, the Sandy Port Hotel down there in New Providence. And yes, girls, Warren did not give me my donut. Well, the Grand Bahama Softball Association will open its fast pitch season tomorrow at the ballpark of the GB Sports Complex. Expect a competitive softball season when they go between the lines.
One team, one dream.
One team, one dream. That's the motto of the Grand Bahama Amateur Softball Association this season. The fast pitch season will open Friday, May 30th, says Chairman Gwen Simonet Pinder, and she expected to be a competitive one.
We are hoping to have 4 ladies fast pitch teams in the league. 3 or 4 of the teams should have basically junior players on them. We are gearing towards the youth this year for our season, and hope that we will have a successful season for this 2014 in fast pitch.
The softball season is structured around the family, and GBSA PR Director Desmond Dean likes the response so far.
The fans, the players, they're bringing out their kids, their wives, their husbands, and so it's pretty much a family atmosphere right now. And we want to continue to encourage the entire community, the Grand Bahamian community from east to west, to come out and watch some softball, some good old softball.
Vice President Candace Gregory is excited about the fast pitch season and the new GBSA drive to revamp softball.
Actually, I'm very excited. I think we're all excited. We've been having meetings every night just to work out all the kinks. And I think we pretty much, after last night, we pretty much worked most of the kinks out. And we're looking forward to a very, very successful season. As a matter of fact, Ricardo, we're getting ready to put together our calendar for the year 2014 by Ms. Helena Cooper, our secretary. And we will forward our calendar, our softball calendar for you for the full year 2014, full season 2014. We have a very, 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 very healthy calendar this year in terms of tournaments. And we have tournaments starting as soon as next month, going into November, where we're going to bring back the 21-gun salute.
Well, folks, controlled chemical sweepers and XL and eliminators will start it all off at 7:30, but they got the opening set for 7 o'clock. The Western Blue Marlins Immigration Enforcer is going to follow. Hugo Braves and Pat's Uniform Reds is going to play the feature. Should be a pretty good one for you as well. Also, Bahama Softball Federation is going to add its touch to the opening this coming Saturday. It's Friday, that is. And also, last year's championship was very competitive and also entertaining. But this year, the players, coaches, and managers will have to adjust to some rule changes now to help fill the void of uncertainty. The BSF is holding an umpires seminar and recertification for softball umpires in the Northern Bahamas. Daphne McKinney says that it's imperative that coaches, managers, umpires in the GBSA, ABACO, as well as Bimini associations acquaint themselves with the new rule changes, regulation, and the game of softball this season.
Is we're going to have Mr. Thomas Sayers, who's the director of the Bahama Softball Federation, who's responsible for umpires as well as rules and interpreters. He will be here this weekend to recertify the umpires here in Grand Bahama. We've also invited Abraco as well as Bimini to take part. And we also want to encourage the managers and coaches as well as players as well as softball enthusiasts. If you want to know what some of those rule changes are, just come out and you can listen in, probably take a few notes. I don't want to let the cat out of the hat, but some of those rules are going to be very, very interesting. It's going to make our sport more fun, and it's also going to help us to bring back our softball back to its glory days. Make sure that we're out there.
It all starts tomorrow, guys. If you are interested, go check it out. GBAS 8 is ready to rock and roll. That's sports tonight.